future stars of NASCAR take their talents to its grandest stage, Daytona. And with that, front row qualifying for NASCAR's most prestigious race.
It's the Daytona 500. So much history here. What an incredible way to get it all started.
It's that time of year, Darryl. It's on the line now, boys. Here we go.
For some, claiming the Daytona 500 pole can lead to success in the sport's ultimate race. And while plenty of those participating today have etched their names into racing history, others look to carve their own path to glory.
A lot of young, aggressive drivers.
There are high expectations for some of these young guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, heck yeah. This is going to be fun.
The season is officially underway, and it starts right here on Fox.
Fox Sports proudly presents the start of the NASCAR season. It's pole day for the Great American Race. Live from Daytona Beach, Florida. Sunny, warm, and breezy as Kurt Busch is here to defend his Daytona 500 victory of last year. Martin Truex Jr. will be here in that car defending his Monster Energy Cup championship. And Danica Patrick back for one more ride. We're glad you're along for the ride once again as we get a look at the car that Danica will be driving as we set the field for next Sunday's running of the 60th Daytona 500. And we are trackside with outstanding weather. We'll check the speeds and see who winds up where. Glad to see you once again. Welcome to NASCAR on Fox. Michael Waltrip, two-time Daytona 500 champion. I'm Chris Myers. The gang is all here. You'll see and hear all of us throughout the afternoon and throughout the week. Well, we're going to see the Chevy Camaro debut right up against the Ford Fusion, the Toyota Camry, the challenge there. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking to see if Jimmy Johnson can rebound from what was an average season by Jimmy Johnson standards. Can he get off to a quick start in 2018? You talked about Truex, defending champion, but he doesn't have a Daytona 500 trophy yet. I'm sure he's shooting for that. And Chris, I think we have the most exciting group of young guns coming into this sport that we've ever seen. Can't wait to see how these kids stack up against the vets.
We'll get to know them and see how they drive. Here's the lineup after qualifying for the front row, the pole here. Over to FS1 later today. NASCAR Race Day will be part of that from the scene here. The 75-lap clash, that always sets the tone. 17 cars in that. That always gets hot and heavy early. And then FS1 through Speed Weeks, Race Hub. Thursday, the duels. The field will be set for that today. And then next Sunday, the Daytona 500 on Fox. Well, Chase Elliott now in the 9 car this year, going to try and win his 3rd straight Daytona 500 pole. Now, if he does that, he makes history as the first driver to earn 3 straight poles at the Daytona 500 in his first 3 career tries. Another famous number, another one of those changes that are going on throughout this season. We just want to bring you up to date with that. The 88, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s retirement, so that iconic number goes to Alex Bowman. And the legendary 24, captained once by our own Jeff Gordon, is now William Byron in that driver's seat. We mentioned Chase Elliott, Bill Elliott, of course, the famous number 9. So back in the Elliott family, Ryan Blaney was 21 with the Wood brothers. Now, Team Penske, he's in the 12, and Eric Jones takes over from Matt Kenseth in the 20 with Joe Gibbs and Toyota Racing. Coming up, we'll get you set for the 40 cars that are entered for the Daytona 500. We'll hear from defending champ Martin Truex Jr. And by Goodyear, those who live up to their names make one for themselves. Goodyear, more driven. Live from Daytona. It was emotional. It was a great success story for Martin Truex Jr., driver of the 78. We're going to see him try and qualify for the front row of the Daytona 500. A proud performance, and we're proud to welcome Regan Smith to our broadcast crew on Fox and NASCAR. Welcome, Regan.
Hey, Chris, thank you. Martin, you have been everywhere since Homestead last year, Miami. You've been to the Super Bowl. You've been all over the place touring with this championship. How has that felt, and what's it feel like to get back to the racetrack as a champion finally?
It's felt good. It's been very busy all season. Not much of an all season, but it's been exciting and a lot going on. And I don't know that it feels any different. I guess I probably feel less pressure right now coming to Daytona than I ever have. I feel more relaxed and more confident, and hopefully that'll turn into some more results this season.
Chris, he's looking for his first 500 here in just a little bit. Looking forward to this.
All right, thank you, Regan. And what kind of speeds do you think we're going to see today in that pole qualifying?
The crew chiefs in the garage area think somewhere around 195 miles an hour might be the pole. And that means, Chris, when they go down to the corners, could tick 200 miles per hour. It'd be fun to watch.
And Martin Truex Jr. giving Toyota their Sprint Cup, or I should say Monster Energy Cup championship, but still searching Toyota for their first Daytona 500 pole in this, what will be their 12th try. And we'll have more from Daytona. Drivers hopping in the cars. There's your defending champ, Martin Truex Jr. Good hearing from him. Ready to roll in his Toyota Camry. It's pole day with Michael Waltrip. Chris Myers will be watching along with you. We head up to the booth, Mr. Hendrick and six-time champ Jimmie Johnson. Our champs, Jeff Gordon, Darrell Waltrip. Let's head upstairs, Mike Joy. I think, Mike, you and I are the only ones who haven't won a Daytona 500 in this group. But it's good to be here anyway.
Well, we've done 17 of them, Chris. I guess maybe you could add those up and they'd count for a win. Of course, Darrell won 1 and Jeff won 3. But today, it's about being the fastest for 1 lap and doing it twice. How big is it to sit on the front row for this race?
Well, certainly that's a big deal. You know, it locks you in. You don't have to worry about those qualifying races. But you know what I always think about qualifying? Surprises. Because some drivers are going to go out of here and they're going to be thrilled with the run they had. Jeff's others are going to go out of here and they're going to be a little disappointed with the run they had. So I just like the surprises of qualifying.
Well, the front row is locked in today. However, the rest of the field is set for the duels on Thursday.
Yeah, when I think of the Daytona 500, of course, we all highlight how special this race is and historical. And the drivers that win the pole today, or driver that wins or gets the front row, they're going to give credit to the team, all the hard work over the offseason. But on race day for the Daytona 500, when you lead this field to green, that is a very special opportunity and feeling.
All right, well, let's hear from a driver who certainly knows the way to victory lane here. Here's Jamie Little.
Well, so many changes here in Daytona, and finally it's time for Daytona 500 qualifying. Kurt, with the no ride height and everything else going on underneath these race cars, what is this lap going to be like for you?
It'll still be somewhat calm, but it's mainly once we get into the draft with these stiff rear springs and no ride height, that's when you're going to see the big dramatic difference. But for qualifying, should be about the same. It won't be too far on edge, but it's just great to just be back at the track, about ready to go lay down a lap and go for Daytona 500 qualifying. So it's really an exciting time for our sport to jump back in and get going, and hopefully we'll lay down a good lap with our Ford.
All right, Kurt Busch defending Daytona 500 winner.
The cars will qualify today in the inverse order of practice speed, slowest to fastest. Greg Galding was scheduled to be our first qualifier in Ron Devine's BK Racing number 23. That car has not come out to the line from the inspection area. So Corey LaJoie, third-generation racer. His granddad, Don, the modified champ many times at Danbury, Connecticut Race Arena. His dad, Randy, champion of what was the NASCAR Busch Series, now the Xfinity Series, a couple of times over. And so here is Corey, who had a partial schedule last year and now drives the Schuler Systems number 72 in hopes of earning a good spot in the 500.
I love what his dad does with seats. His dad really has done a great job of developing and making seats safer for all the drivers. So Randy was an interesting dude to race with. I raced with him quite a bit back in the day.
Yeah, me too, in the Busch Grand National Series.
LaJoie will be in his second Daytona 500, 48:37. He is the lap of record for Corey LaJoie. Let's meet another former Daytona 500 winner, a two-time winner, Larry McReynolds.
Yeah, what we're going to do, we're going to go to our Ford Performance cutaway car. You heard Jamie Little ask Kurt Busch about the no ride height. For the first time here at Daytona, they're dropping these cars down in the rear. You look at the rear spoiler on the back of the car. Last year, it was 4.5 inches tall. NASCAR knew with dropping the back of that race car that the straightaway speeds were going to be up, so they added a 1/2 inch, so the same width as a year ago, but a 1/2 inch taller. Still, when we get to the duels in the Daytona 500, drafting, I promise you, well over 200 miles per hour.
Yeah, and I think what we're going to see here today is a faster pole speed than we saw a year ago, even with a 1/2 inch taller rear spoiler.
Oh, yeah, the back of these cars are so low. I can't, the bumper almost drags the ground.
Mark Thompson on track, 66 years old, from Cartersville, Georgia. That's no typo. Longtime late model and ARCA racer. Phoenix Air is his company. He owns a fleet of jets that haul equipment for the U.S. military up there out of Cartersville. He has 2 starts in what's now the Monster Energy Series of NASCAR. Pocono 1992 and Talladega in 2017. He was in yesterday's ARCA 200 here at Daytona.
Well, see, you had to find a driver to match the car number. And so that's how he got that ride.
You used to run number 66, didn't you?
You want to get back out there, DW? There's a chance.
You know, I love when Mike Joy looks at me like that. He said, "You can't tell if that's the truth or not."
Up the racetrack.
No, just kidding, just kidding.
Up the racetrack a little bit. You know, we're going to see some sparks. Some of these cars bottoming out, and that may have been what happened right there going into turn 3. May have bottomed out and sent the car up the racetrack.
Mark Thompson's Ford, 48-26. Talking it over, the Hendrick teammates, before they make their runs. Chris Buescher completing his run. Driver from Prosper, Texas, had that big win at Pocono in 2016. JTG Doherty Racing. Teammate to A.J. Allmendinger, whose car just rolled out onto pit road to make his qualifying run. Jamie?
And Bubba Wallace, officially the newest driver and the only driver full-time now in the 43. What's the reaction going to be like if you get the Daytona 500 pole today?
It's good.
I want to see what the reaction would be.
Oh, the reaction? To get my Coke open right quick. Yes! We just got the pole for the Daytona 500, just like that.
This guy.
Hopefully that doesn't jinx it, though.
You think you have a chance?
Absolutely. With the guys I got behind me and the car we brought here, the new Chevy Camaro Z01, click and close on the hood, I think we got a good combination. I mean, 43 is a pretty good number here. Just throwing that out there. So hopefully we can follow that up, and we're looking for a good year. Aside from this weekend alone, I'm so excited about this. This is so cool.
Good luck.
Bubba Wallace earned the ride in the King's Chariot, now a Chevrolet, last year a Ford. And finishing up his run, this is David Gilliland from Riverside, California. He's now the middle in a 3-generation driver family. His dad, Butch, was a standout in Winston West. And, boy, his son, Todd, is tearing him up in NASCAR's K&N Series and moving on up.
It won't be long before we see him in NASCAR at the elite levels.
Yes, sir. A kid has got talent.
David, a former Daytona 500 pole sitter. Well, here's our series champion, Martin Truex. Piled up all those stage points, cruised into Homestead, and held off all comers to win the Monster Energy Series championship. Defeating Kyle Busch, that 4-man runoff for the title, celebrating with Sherry Pollux. Crew chief Cole Pern. Got to hoist the big trophy. That thing's heavy.
That thing is beautiful, too. What a trophy.
I don't know how you build a trophy case for that.
Goodness gracious.
Stand the weight at home.
37 years old from Mayetta, New Jersey, and I would have to say that was one of the most popular championship wins in NASCAR in a long, long time. Jamie?
And you saw his longtime girlfriend, Sherry Pollux, celebrating with him. As we've documented, and many people have been following her second battle for cancer. On this past Tuesday, she had her final round of chemo. So I asked Martin how she's doing. He said she feels great. Well, she actually texted me this morning. She's at the racetrack. She's in the bus, said she's not feeling well, usually for about a week, but she hopes to be out here cheering on her man next weekend for the Daytona 500.
Martin Truex, pole sitter for this race, driving for Chip Ganassi Racing in 2009. Finished runner-up 2 years ago in the closest 500 finish in history.
Let me tell you something. When he left pit road, he didn't leave anything on the table. He wound that baby up all the way to the hitting the chip when he was out of the pits.
You can see the tracker down the left corner of our screen. He's definitely in the green, so this is going to be a nice run. I don't think it's going to be a pole run. They've been struggling with speed here this weekend so far.
He won 8 races last year en route to the championship, and he is quickest. 47 seconds flat, 191.5.
And we saw in practice some teams getting down the mid 46 seconds that we believe we're making some qualifying runs. Of course, once you go through the inspection
room of doom, it's going to be the room of doom as long as it's there.
Changes things a lot.
All right, now Jamie McMurray's #1 Chevrolet has had some issues getting through inspection. Matt Yoakum.
Mike, 5 different inspection stations in 2018. The one car, McMurray, had issues going through the optical scan station, and simply the first trip through, they had an issue on the right front. They repaired that. Bondo sanded it down and then put a wrap on that. They went through again. Then they had issues with the rear glass and the deck lid. Adjusted that, just went through. Officials Brad Houck and John Sacco looked at the scans. They were green, gave him the clean bill of health. They're pushing the car out to pit road.
So McMurray will get a chance to qualify. Here's A.J. Allmendinger from Los Gatos, California. One of the sport's top road racers. Has a best starting spot in the 500 of 15th. 4 different times for 3 different teams. Richard Petty, Roger Penske, and his current team, JTG Doherty.
If he could get some of the energy he has and transfer that into that race car, that thing would run 400 miles an hour, because he is an energetic little guy. He gets it done.
And you can see as these teams and drivers pull this car off pit road, they're going to run wide, get as much momentum as possible until they get to the start-finish line. But when they're on the lap, like you see here, right along with A.J. Allmendinger, right on that yellow line, the shortest route possible, but you got to hold a really steady wheel to keep as little drag in the car as possible.
Again, the round 1 qualifying order is seeded by practice speeds, slowest to fastest. So we expect each run to be quicker than the one before it. Allmendinger not quite. 47.14 is his lap. That's 190.9.
Well, he and Buescher are just right there together, though. 47.09 on Buescher and then 47.14 on Allmendinger. So 2 pretty equally prepared cars, I might say.
Jamie McMurray buckling in. Austin Dillon ready to go. Charlotte winner from last year. 7-time. Jimmy Johnson says he's in the best shape he's ever been in going into this season.
That's saying a lot for Jimmy Johnson.
that would scare me, because I'm telling you, he's one tuned-up dude.
I think that season that they had last year, he, Chad Knaus, that whole 48 team, I think that fired them up. I think they have kind of reinvented the way that they're going to go about things this year over at Hendrick.
Hello, Newman. That just never gets old.
Nope.
Ryan Newman from South Bend, Indiana, former sprint car racer, moved over to NASCAR and Team Penske, where he had a best Daytona 500 starting spot of 7th. That was the year he won it, 2008. He then moved to Stewart Haas Racing, and for the last 4 years has been at Richard Childress Racing that fields this Chevrolet.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how he and his other teammates perform, because they had some pretty fast practice speeds yesterday. The RCR cars did. So I'm going to be really interested watching how close the 31 here, the 3, even the 43. You know, that's an Alliance car, so it'll be interesting to see how they run.
Well, and he knows what it's like to win a Daytona 500, too. He did it back in 06.
Yeah, you know who pushed him? His teammate.
08.
Yeah, his teammate, Kurt Busch, pushed him to that win.
Richard Childress Racing was a 3-car team last season. They have downsized to 2 cars for Austin Dillon and Ryan Newman. As you said, Richard Petty Motorsports moved from Ford to Chevrolet with a full alliance with Richard Childress Racing.
That's a decent lap. That's not a pole lap, but that's a pretty good lap, 46.81.
Boy, is this a view? I mean, you want to know what it's like to be inside a race car 200 miles per hour, even in qualifying mode, up against the wall, watching those hands move the car, bouncing, pretty rigid suspension that they've got in these cars this year to get that ride down as low as possible. We're going to have a lot of fun watching this view.
That year that he pushed Ryan Newman to victory, Busch started last, his best starting spot 3rd in 2011, and he told us a great story last night at dinner. The way he got to the Cup Series was the hard way. He earned it. And the story starts with a name, Ray Judy, West Coast NASCAR official who told Jack Roush, you need to look at this kid. He's tearing him up in Vegas. They invited Busch to one of those Roush gong shows at Toledo Speedway. He had the fastest laps, but he burned up his tires. Still, that got him an invite to Phoenix for round 2 of the gong show, and he defeated all comers and got the ride in the Truck Series with Roush, went on to the Cup Series and to a championship.
He's going to go to the pole right here on this lap also.
46.67.
A little bit better.
A lot better.
A couple of tenths over Newman.
Yeah.
192.8 for the defending 500 winner.
Jeff, what do you think the pole will be? What do you think 46 what?
Yeah, I'm going to say 30 or, well, it depends on if we're talking about the pole, because once they go out that second time, they're going to get faster. Everything gets heated up, the oils and everything. So, yeah, probably 20s or 30s, 46 20s or 30s
Yeah,
is my guess.
I think in the 20s, 46-20.
NASCAR's most successful female driver ever, Danica Patrick, reunited with her longtime sponsor. And her final NASCAR race will be next Sunday's Daytona 500. But here's 7-time Jimmy Johnson for Hendrick Motorsports and crew chief Chad Knaus. They've been together his entire Cup career. And wondering, even as this career continues and the drive for 8 begins, does Jimmy Johnson get enough credit for what he has accomplished in view of his place among the all-time greats of this sport?
Well, we'll debate this a lot, right, guys, because we might not truly be able to respect it until 10 years from now. Who knows how long it may be, but boy, what he's accomplished is unbelievable.
Another good lap. That's really good right there, 46-42.
Wow, that drops the fast time by a quarter of a second.
Yeah, we're getting there now.
2-time pole winner for the 500 and a 2-time winner of the Great American Race. Kevin Harvick all smiles. And here comes Chase Elliott, who won the pole for Hendrick Motorsports in both of his Daytona 500 appearances to date. They did a little reshuffling over there in Concord, North Carolina, and the number 9 that his dad, Bill Elliott, made famous became available, and that is now Chase Elliott's number.
And you know, the last time the 9 sat on the pole here, I think it was back in 2001 with his dad. That's when Bill was driving for Ray Abraham, if I remember correctly.
So you got a bunch of Hall of Famers involved here.
Yeah, that 9 number, Bill Elliott's got 38 wins in that with the 9, and Casey Kane's got 11, and Marcus Ambrose got 2. The brothers, Thompson, Donald, and Herb, they each have 1 win in the 9 car. But that's been the family number of this of Chase and his dad for that family for a long time.
One of the favorites to perhaps win the pole here today. Second, 46-53.
That must be a really cool feeling to be in that 9 car representing his family. That's the number that he won the championship in the Xfinity Series. I think it's so cool to have him back in this 9.
A lot of history there. Elliott family history. Kyle Larson. We all got asked by Fox PR our pre-season picks for the championship. I said he'll be named Kyle, which kind of gives me a Quinella. Will it be Larson or Busch? I don't know. But, boy, he had a great season last year for Chip Ganassi. Now, he's run 4 Daytona 500s with a best start of 14, a best finish of 7th. But every time this young fella gets into a race car, he is learning and maturing and, by the way, winning.
He's spectacular behind the wheel. He knows how to win. He knows how to get more out of the race car. And a lot of people could tell you that he's probably one of the most talented race car drivers behind the wheel out there in this field.
I just like his confidence. He has a lot of confidence. He and Chad Johnson, his crew chief, they seem to march to their own drum, do their own thing.
5th, 46-81. Larson also does a lot of short track racing away from the Cup Series when his schedule permits.
Oh, here we go, boys.
Sparks flying.
Yeah, line them up. This could be a big pole run right here, or at least the fastest in this session.
Yeah.
Alex Bowman from Tucson, Arizona, another young driver who worked his way to the Cup Series.
Love the story. I mean, this is a kid that cut his teeth early quarter midgets and midgets and sprint cars, and finally got that chance to make it big time. That part of his career maybe didn't go as well, but boy, he has got an opportunity of a lifetime here, filling in for Dale Earnhardt Jr., retired last year.
Yeah, this 88 car, though, this number 88, Dale Jarrett won 28 times in that car. I won 26. Dale Jr. won 9. Bobby Allison won 8. And Buddy Baker won 3 times driving the 88 car.
Look down here. Look how much faster he is than fellow teammate Jimmy Johnson in the green by almost 0.2 of a second right now.
We saw that in practice. That car was fast.
Easy on your...
Whoa!
46-18.
A lot faster than I expected.
Take it to the top.
Almost 195 miles per hour. And Rick Hendrick right now owns the first 3 spots in Daytona 500 pole qualifying. Jamie?
Well, the 2013 Daytona 500 pole sitter was this woman, Danica Patrick. Next to last weekend that we'll see you in a NASCAR stock car. What are the emotions, the feelings heading into the final weekend?
I feel good. I mean, I think that the one difference is that I showed up for a big race weekend, the biggest of the year for stock cars, with a new team, but I had a lot of familiar faces, one in particular, of course, being Tony Eury Jr., so he's what's making me feel really, really comfortable about the whole program and, you know, being competitive. So I liked him since the first day I met him, so it's good to have him back, and I think we'll be all right. The car field felt pretty good in the draft the other day, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I feel good. I mean, the idea of leaving here and having months off versus, like, the next 39 weeks straight is, like, not a bad feeling.
Well, Danica Mania started about 14 years ago, and many of those years were in GoDaddy Green. It's good to see her back in it, Mike.
Yep, NASCAR's most successful female driver ever. This is the first of the Danica doubles. She'll race the Daytona 500 and the Indy 500. Casey Kane, who was with Hendrick Motorsports last year, moves to Levine Family Racing, 46.69.
That's a good lap.
He's half a second off of the pole right now, but that's because Bowman has just blown him all the way so far.
Yeah, he's in another zip code. Bowman is.
Look at him playing the drum. I'm telling you, this guy has got some incredible talent and a heck of a personality. Don't you wish you could do that, DW?
I could do that, but it wouldn't sound like that.
That is Darrell Wallace Jr., who, was not named for Darrell Waltrip and Rusty Wallace. He was named for his dad.
I know.
And his sister gave him the nickname Bubba the day he was born.
Wow. Well, he's a fun kid.
So Bubba racing for the king, Richard Petty. Had 4 starts in this car last year, subbing for injured Eric Almirola. And he is 8th fastest at 46.93 in Richard Petty's Chevrolet.
Second winningest number all time.
Fifteen drivers have now taken time, including Jeffrey Earnhardt, Dale Earnhardt's grandson. Kerry Earnhardt's son continues a 40-year tradition of an Earnhardt in the 500, and he is 13th of 16 right now. From Canada, Gaunt Brothers Racing, 2-time champ of the Canadian NASCAR Pinty Series, DJ Kennington checks in. He is 12th fastest. Alex Bowman, fastest so far in round. 42-year-old Brendan Gaughan from Las Vegas told me last night racing was his vocation. Now it's his vacation. This is his second try for the 500 with Beard Motorsports. For Gaughan, he is 12th fastest. This is Matt DiBenedetto, 26 from Grass Valley, California. DiBenedetto 13th on his qualifying lap in a Ford. And here's Jamie McMurray out of Missouri, former 500 winner. He did that in 2010, started 3rd in the great race last year for Chip Ganassi.
They did a little body work on that baby earlier, but it looks like it turned out pretty well. Quick. That's not not too bad a lap. See here, they're working on that right front fender.
Yeah, that new optical scanning system that they have over there, so detailed, not a lot of room for error. But obviously, after this car was on the track, they tried to go through inspection today. They had a little work to do the right front. Great job to everybody, the team and NASCAR, getting all these cars through inspection today and on the grid.
Austin Dillon. Is he still a young gun at 27?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, he is the older of the 2 brothers, Mike and Tina Dillon's boys, Richard and Judy Childress's grandsons. Austin at RCR and Ty with Germain Racing. This will be Austin's 6th Daytona 500. He won the pole in 2014 and has 2 top 10 finishes.
You saw a little bit of a different line there, him sort of letting the car do its own path through that corner, not trying to pinch it off too much. We normally see him right on the yellow line. He kind of let it.
It looked to me like whatever he did, it worked pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good lap.
Yeah. I think that's where the driver plays a role. Maybe the car just didn't want to tug. It had to tug on it too much to get it down on that yellow line. So you let it have its head a little bit.
I'm guessing right now Chevrolet is pretty happy with the performance of this new Chevrolet Camaro.
So far, so good.
4th fastest for Austin Dillon. Chevy has 9 of the top 10 spots. This is younger brother Ty Dillon, 25 years old.
Another one of our young guns.
Yep, this will be his 4th Daytona 500 for 3 different teams. His 2nd year with Germain Racing. but with a new crew chief for 2018.
Yeah, I see this alliance of Germain and RCR just getting closer and tighter, and I think you're going to start to see those cars kind of blanket one another as far as performance.
But there's just something about numbers. The more cars you got to pull information from, the better your program is, I think. Particularly with alliances, where those outside teams can try things and then feed them into you and tell you what's working, what's not working.
That number 13 was made famous here at Daytona by legendary mechanic Smokey Unick. They're still telling stories about the cars that Smokey built. All right, Ty Dillon, 12th fastest in the number 13. And here is Danica Patrick in the first half of the Danica double that will complete her racing career. The Daytona 500 and the Indy 500. She ran her first 500 in 2012 for Tommy Baldwin Racing. The next year moved to Stewart-Haas Racing and won the pole and finished top 10. This will be Danica's 7th Daytona 500 start. She's racing for Premium Motorsports. Tommy Baldwin, she's reunited with as team manager, and Tony Eury Jr. is the crew chief.
I just always thought Daytona particularly was one of Danica's best racetracks.
Absolutely. Yep.
She started off well here and has been really pretty successful here through the years.
That double yellow line at the bottom of the banking and all the way around, you know what that means on the highway, no passing. Same thing there. You have to stay above that yellow line at all times or risk penalty.
We see the sparks flying up under that thing.
Yeah, they're going to try to get the back of that car down as far as possible, get that spoiler out of the air.
She's trying to stay above that yellow line on her graphic on the left and misses it by that much. The top 12 advance to round 2. Patrick is 13th by less than 100th of a second. Justin Marks making his 4th Cup start, first in the Daytona 500. An Xfinity race winner at Mid-Ohio in 2016. And Marks will clock in 18th in his Rick Ware Racing, number 51.
Climbing the banks of Daytona, nothing for Justin Marks. He's going to climb Mount Everest, I believe, next year.
Is that awesome?
Amazing.
Clint Boyer timed in 5th fastest. He is the fastest Ford so far. 46.65 for Stewart-Haas Racing. Here's his teammate, Kevin Harvick. Started on the front row of this race in 2002 in his first Daytona 500. Harvick is second. He is the fastest Ford at 46.42. Jamie?
Well, a year ago, Daniel Suarez was getting ready to qualify for his first Cup race, the biggest race of the year. A year later, though, how do you approach this one?
Definitely much different, more relaxed, knowing what to expect with a little bit more time to work with my team. It just feels different, honestly. Last year, obviously, was great. My first time ever in a Cup car. I was in Phoenix just a couple weeks before the Daytona 500, so I feel like this week has been a lot of different. The way that we've been approaching the week, working together, knowing what to expect. So overall, just very excited to be here, my second time, and really looking forward to put this 19 Irish Terra Camry in the front.
He'll be one of 2 drivers carrying our Fox Visor Cam a week from today in the 500. Eric Almirola moves from Richard Petty Motorsports to Stewart-Haas Racing. This will be his 8th Daytona 500. He has a best start of 11.
I tell you what, those Stewart-Haas Fords look pretty racy here, guys. That's the second. Almirola just comes in there in 5th. 7th and 8th, so those 4 cars are pretty fast.
I still think when you look back to wins on restrictor plates, the Fords have dominated. You know, even though we've seen Chevys dominate qualifying, when it comes to the race, these Fords seem to have something a little bit extra in their back pocket.
Right now, the top 12 spots are 8 Chevrolets and 4 Fords. We remind you, though, the qualifying order is based on practice speeds, slowest to fastest. Here's the 27th driver to take time out of 40. Brad Keselowski, a series champion, who qualified 7th for the 500 last year. His best start in the 500. Every one of his Daytona 500s have come for Team Penske.
Jeff, you said they had something in their back pocket. They got something under the hood. I tell you, Doug Yates and that crowd over there, they make some great engines. Restrictor plate engines.
Pretty good restrictor plate drivers in there, too.
Got that right.
Brad and Page celebrating an anniversary here this weekend.
Oh, congratulations.
Keselowski makes it into the top dozen in 10th. So Dave here is raced with his new team, Front Row Motorsports. He'll be in his 7th Daytona 500. McDowell 14th fastest. Eric Jones, the Rookie of the Year of 2017, moving up to the parent team, Joe Gibbs Racing, from Furniture Row. And he'll take over the number 20. They moved Jones into that ride. And Matt Kenseth out after many seasons, and the Rookie of the Year responds. He's the fastest Toyota so far. He is 4th overall. Matt?
Mike, Kevin Harvick and Jimmy Johnson tied with the 2nd fastest time. You get out some big smiles. Did you generate more speed than maybe you thought you might have been able to?
It did. It generated a fair amount, a couple tenths more than I thought it would go, but that's why I drive the car and don't build them. Our Jimmy John's Ford guys have done a good job in just trying to put a lot of effort in, and I feel like we leaned more towards handling on our car and took some speed items out of it. So hopefully that's a good sign for Thursday, and obviously, not qualifying on the front row, you still have to race your way into a good spot on Thursday. So it's been a good start. It's been very hectic. Everything's been jammed together, and practices seem to have been short. I got out there when the oil was laid down yesterday, so we didn't have a lot of information on the speed of this car because it drug the ground really hard on the one run that we did. So good start. Mike?
Kyle Busch has started 4th in the 500 4 times. Once for Rick Hendrick and 3 for Joe Gibbs. He's in a Gibbs Toyota now, coming to the stripe, trying to break into the top 12 and displace Ryan Newman. He does. He is 2nd fastest to Alex Bowman.
Pretty good right there. But, old Bowman, he's still got a couple of tenths over everybody else. That's a heck of a lap that kid put down.
I'm just going to be curious to see round 2, how much some of these teams pick up or how many of them stay the same. So this thing's anything but over.
Like Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney moves from satellite team the Wood Brothers to the parent team, Team Penske, which is now a 3-car operation, including the very active on social media Blaney. This will be his 4th Daytona 500. He ran here 3 times for the Wood Brothers with a best start of 7th and a best finish of 2nd. On the left, there's our Fox Visor cam with Daniel Suarez getting up to speed as Blaney rolls into turn number 3 in the 31-degree banking to complete his lap.
Blaney and Bubba Wallace. Now there's a pair.
Yeah,
I tell you, they have
a good time,
more
don't they?
fun together. They are so entertaining. I love Blaney. He's a good little car.
I love about some of these young guys is the passion they have for racing, but the fun that they'll have off the track.
Yes, sir.
And Brad Keselowski is bumped by his new teammate Ryan Blaney, 46.57. For Blaney, that moves Casey Kane onto the hot seat for drivers advancing to round 2.
As we watch the hands of Daniel Suarez here, it's so important to be smooth with the wheel. Try not to juke it at all. Just try to keep it as smooth as possible.
So he's taking the green flag. Now he's going to sort of anticipate that bank. You see how quick, once he gets in the bank, he's got to put the wheel to it to try to keep that car right on the yellow line. And then he'll try to do the same thing, hold it, but you want to get straight as soon as possible because that's what's going to allow the car to start gaining RPM.
Jeff, it almost looked like he threw the car into that first turn. He had to get in there so quick.
In order to run that yellow line, that's what you have to do. You have to feed a lot of wheel into it as soon as the car gets in the banking. I just love how, because of this shot, you see the bumps and how the car's bouncing around. That's his head bouncing with every bump he goes over.
The 26-year-old from Monterrey, Mexico for Joe Gibbs Racing. 3rd fastest,
nice
46.41.
Nice.
And that will bump Casey Kane out of the top dozen, who would advance to round 2.
We went from all these Chevrolets. Now we got Chevrolet, Toyota, Ford.
It's a nice mix, though. I mean, it really is. You look at our top 10, it's pretty balanced out right now between all 3 manufacturers.
Kurt Busch is on the hot seat now for 12th place. Here is Trevor Bayne for Roush Fenway Racing. The 2011 Daytona 500 winner from Knoxville, Tennessee. Started 11th, his career best in the 500 last year.
I love that day he won that race. I mean, had no idea he was going to win that race. He drove his pickup truck down here. He didn't even have clothes to go to New York with. They had to go buy clothes that night, left his truck, and went to New York to celebrate.
Can you imagine how your life would just change in that instant moment? And you're driving your truck down to Daytona. Next thing you know, you're off to New York to celebrate and go on all the big TV shows that you won the Daytona 500.
All right, Bain's got work to do if he's going to knock Kurt Busch out of the top dozen. Close, 46.78, but the time to beat is 46.67. More of these young guns to come, including Xfinity champ and Hendrick Motorsports rookie William Byron. Paul Menard moves from Richard Childress Racing to the Wood Brothers Ford for 2018, and we'll try to get that storied team their 100th NASCAR victory. He is now 6th fastest, so he will lock into round 2 in the 21 and likely have his best Daytona 500 start ever. Saturday on Fox, top 10 doubleheader, 4th-ranked Michigan against Northwestern. And then, game of the year in the Big East, Villanova visits Xavier. 2 Eastern on Fox, or stream it live on Fox Sports Go. David Reagan for Front Row Motorsports went out. This will be his 6th try for the 500 for Front Row. He went out, but the Georgia driver did not come up to speed and is coasting back to pit road. Now, we have 40 entries for the Daytona 500. Everyone here will make the race next Sunday. Their starting positions, except for the front row that's decided today, will all be set Thursday night in the duels. This is round 1. The top 12 advance to round 2. Let's meet the fastest driver so far. Matt?
Mike, crew chief Greg Ives looking at his fan view. Alex Bowman, you guys have debriefed. Looking at the wins, you were the fastest car in round 1. Are you concerned about that in round 2 because it appears to be slowly picking up even more speed?
I think we'll be fine. You know, there's not much I can really do. Really just got to lean on all the guys, everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. They do such a great job at this speedway qualifying stuff. So thankful for the opportunity. Our nationwide Camaro ZL1's just been great since we unloaded. So Greg and all the guys worked hard. Engine shop worked hard. Aero group worked hard. I just get to hold the steering wheel.
And doing a great job at that. Do you try to compartmentalize, though, all the excitement to try to not let the focus maybe wander a little bit with everything that's going on for you? Taking over this car to the Daytona 500, the biggest race of the year.
Yeah, a little. You know, I didn't realize how good we were going to be when we unloaded or how fast the race car was going to be. Obviously, there are a couple guys left to go, but, you know, we definitely have a shot at the pole, and I've never had that before. So I'm living the dream. It's an absolute dream come true just to be down here with Hendrick Motorsports, but to have such a fast race car and a shot at the Daytona 500 pole is just an amazing feeling.
Good luck.
Thanks.
There are 5 drivers left to qualify. That means the top 7 on the left side of your screen are locked in to round 2. There are the 5 that have yet to go.
I love listening to Alex Bowman. I mean, think of that. A dream come true. This kid probably came down here at times wondering if he was even going to be in the Daytona 500, and now he's in a car that has a shot at being the pole on the pole for the Daytona 500.
Yeah, he won the pole at Phoenix, you know, in 2016. So he was talking about not being on the pole here, which is a whole lot different to being on the pole at Phoenix.
And I think, you know, for us, not a total surprise. That 88 car has been on the pole for their last 2 restrictor plate races. Hendrick certainly knows what they're doing, and Greg Ives and that whole team, they do an awesome job.
Let's have a look at how important it is to get up to speed quickly, coming off pit road and coming to the green to qualify. Let's ride with Daniel Suarez. So why no John Force style burnouts coming off the line?
Well, everybody has a little bit of a different style. He actually probably wanted to slip the clutch a little bit more than he did to get a better launch. It actually lugged down. You could hear the engine almost stall out. But then once he got, you know, those RPMs up, you can just hear it's all about getting to that peak RPM. The engine department will tell you exactly where you have to shift. And it's all about nailing first to second, second to third, and then that final gear into fourth.
And Mike, I know the drivers always say, I don't have a whole lot to do with the lap here. It's more about the car and the crew and everything else. But those are things that the driver has to pay close attention to. Shift points, where he runs on the racetrack, and holding that steering wheel as steady as he possibly can.
Well, especially when you look at how tight the field is. I mean, other than Alex Bowman, you start getting to second all the way down, to 12. It is very, very tight. So it is a detail of what the driver does that can make the difference.
Denny Hamlin took the green flag in the green. As far as our chip's concerned, he may dethrone Alex Bowman from the top shot.
That would
the
be
one thing Hamlin has not done at Daytona, start this race on the front row.
And the way that wind's blowing, there's a chance that it could increase as he gets to turn 3, but it's when he gets to turn 3 and starts to turn into that wind, how's that going to affect the lap? You can see it starting to come down now.
I just like that, but look how smooth on that steering. He's not moving that wheel. But I think he's turning into that headwind right here. There's a bit of a headwind off turn. There's a nice tailwind down the back, but you get a headwind off of turn 4.
Hamlin, the 35th driver to take time. Alex Bowman was the 12th.
Boy, he's right there.
2/100ths of a second. Hamlin is second. That bumps Clint Boyer out of the top 12, and it moves Ryan Blaney onto the bubble for those to advance.
Fellas, we got a battle on our hands for this front row and that pole position for the Daytona 500.
Yep.
Last year's Clash winner, Joey Logano from Connecticut. For Team Penske, it'll be his 6th time in the 500 for Penske after 4 years with Joe Gibbs Racing. He started the 500 5th twice.
Well, this is a team, and we know we documented time and time again, they didn't have the kind of year they wanted to have last year either. I know they're anxious to get this year started, correct some of the things that were wrong with that car and team last year, and get back on a roll.
And you can see Joey putting his hand in that little opening between the roll cage and that window net. What he's trying to do is just deflect a little bit of air. You want to talk about detail? That's detail. You're trying to deflect a little bit of air off the side of the car as it wraps around that rear spoiler, maybe hoping that you get 100th or 1,000th of a second out of it.
Not a bad lap, 7th quick.
So Logano will advance to round 2. 4 Fords in the top dozen right now. In fact, we're evenly split. 4 Chevys, 4 Toyotas, 4 Fords right now in the top dozen, with 2 drivers left to qualify.
Probably
well balanced.
Probably also a good chance they're trying to keep some air from getting inside the cockpit of the car. I think I saw where Brad Keselowski was saying something on Twitter about that. That pressure inside the car can also have an effect on the drag.
Ricky Stenhouse from Olive Branch, Mississippi. His sprint car team's been doing very well in Florida this week, and Stenhouse has been fast here.
Don't count this dude out.
I was going to say, I'll tell you what's been very good is this guy on restrictor plate tracks lately.
Yeah, last year was amazing for that 17 car.
Yeah, he's won 2 of the last 4 plate races. That means races at Daytona and Talladega where engines are restricted. Austin Dillon's on the bubble. He's standing on the right. 46.54 is the time to beat with 2 cars to go.
Yeah, I got some bad news for him.
Yeah, I do too. Stenhouse 3rd.
46.31 for Ricky Stenhouse. Austin Dillon is out of the top dozen. Eric Almirola on the hot seat, and here comes our final first round qualifier. That means 38 drivers will have taken time. David Reagan went out but did not full name like Richard Petty, David Pearson.
Yeah, he races online racing. He's got to have a nickname on there or something. We'll find it. But look at this. He's already matching up some of the speeds of his teammates that are all locked into the top 12 so far.
Now, Jeff, this 24 car, that's actually the 5 car, right?
Yeah, so, the 9 car is the same team that the 24 was. Alan Gustafson is the crew chief. This is Darian Grubb, the same team that Casey Kane drove for, just the numbers switched.
Eric Almirola was hoping, but no. William Byron, 4th fastest, 46.32 for the defending Xfinity champion, who is a college sophomore. And 12 drivers led by this man, Alex Bowman, will advance to round 2 and run for the Daytona 500 pole.
Not is Joe Gibbs and Kyle Busch thinking about where they stand. Round 1 results, and Busch 5th in the top 12. But what a story, Alex Bowman. You heard the guys talking about it in the booth. Back in early of 2016, he was selling seats. He said to pay his rent, he was like super broke, didn't know what he was going to do and stressing out. Here he's got a ride in the 88 and has a chance, if he advances as he moves on, to be on the pole for the running of next Sunday's Daytona 500.
Yeah, Chevy, Toyota, Ford, 1, 2, 3 in this session. Chris, separated by just a little over a tenth of a second. It's so amazing the way these cars are so evenly matched. It's going to make for some great racing.
Jeffrey Earnhardt rounding out 35th. Denny Hamlin currently second, and the only Toyota to have a Daytona 500 title, as Denny Hamlin has won that. You're a 2-time winner. Early observations from round 1 here as we get ready to have that 12 advance.
Well, just how perceptive the garage area is. They said the 88's going to get the pole. I can just guarantee you that. And I thought, well, that's bold. And Denny Hamlin jumped up there and only missed it by a couple hundredths. This second round, things could change, Chris. The way your car reacts to the heat that's in it could produce more speed for some of the cars.
On a sunny, warm, breezy day, let's check in with Matt Yoka. Matt?
And talking a lot about speed here, you were doing a great imitation of Michael Waltrip with the hands. Positivity reigning supreme down here. You tweeted a picture saying, let's make the next 40 weeks the best of your career. And so far, you're showing tremendous speed. What's up?
I have no idea, honestly. I swear to you, I thought I would be 15th to 20th. We completely are in full race trim. I mean, it's, you know, we really focused on drafting yesterday. Try to get in all the packs that we could to make sure our FedEx Express Camry was going to race good, not only today, but next week in the duels and in the 500. So just an outstanding effort by everyone on our team to get us a car that, you know, hopefully can contend for the front row here.
Denny, all up, exceeding expectations early on. Let's go to Jamie Little.
Well, Eric Almirola just gets bumped and misses moving on to the second round. But the good news for Daytona 500 qualifying, you can better your position, of course, on Thursday in the duels. Do you feel like you got everything out of the car?
Yeah, I mean, we're qualifying at Daytona, so I did my part. I held it wide open and drove around the racetrack. I felt like the guys on the team did a great job. They fluffed and buffed on it last night, and we ran exactly what we thought we would run with our Smithfield Ford Fusion. So proud of everybody at Stewart Haas Racing. Now we get to go race. I think most weekends, you'd interview me. If we missed the final round, I'd be a little disappointed. But here we get to go race still and get to better our starting spot for the Daytona 500. So I'm just looking forward to go race. All this build up all off season, you come down here, it's kind of a slow day today qualifying. And so I'm ready for Thursday. Thanks.
Good to see him up, moving around. And Alex Bowman just under, as he leads in round 1, just under 195 miles per hour. And you said when we first came on, you thought that would be the number. Still the number here that you think will nail it down?
Yeah, I think he can pick up a half a tenth. I think the car will be a little bit quicker in this round due to the fact that all the fluids have heated up and the bearings are warmer. He could go a little bit faster. It's going to be interesting to see, though, Chris, which one of these guys pick up most, because they're real close right at the top. You pick up a tenth of a second, you could be on the pole.
You heard Mike Joy talk about an Earnhardt name continuing in the Daytona 500. Let's check in with Jeffrey Earnhardt standing by.
And he is Dale Jr.'s nephew, of course. So in the offseason, we all heard you lost your sponsor. We didn't think we'd see you on track. And here you are. You made it happen. How did it all come together?
Yeah, it's tough, when you get the news that, the team you're with is going to, part ways. But, we just went back to working really hard. Everyone with my company, JEI, and everyone just started looking at all the opportunities that were out there and trying to figure out what the best opportunity was. And, Starcom Racing ended up acquiring the charter from the 27 team, and, they've discussed, their equipment and stuff that they had in mind and what they were looking to do. And, we had a little bit of sponsorship with VRX simulators, and they're also looking to do a lot more. So, it just all made sense to make the move there. And, the opportunities were very slim, but, you're very thankful for them when you get put in those situations. So I keep telling everyone I'd hate to have been the reason to stop the streak of Earnhardt being here at the 500. So luckily we made it here, and we're not that fast in qualifying, but we were decent in the draft. I'm looking forward to getting in the 500.
True racer, working hard off track to get the sponsors to be here today, and then he has to drive the car, Chris.
All right, thank you, Jamie and Jeffrey. So 40 straight years of an Earnhardt in the Daytona 500. Michael, you have a run of how many for the Waltrips? 30?
I ran 30 Daytona 500s, and I love what Jeffrey said. Once this race starts, you can get up there and mix it up. He'll do just that.
Places. Live from Daytona International Speedway, Michael Waltrip. We have Larry McReynolds, our crew chief, standing by. And what did you notice about the top 12 we talked? They used to have a dog track right nearby here. Now it's closer.
They brought the cars out and got them dog track, and you can see the left rear of Truex's car. It's slightly outside of the left front. That's an effort to keep that rear spoiler from seeing the air when it goes through the corners. And it's working. It means speed for these cars. You can see again, Boyer is over that way. I talked to some of the crew chiefs in the garage area, and they said, we're not going to go for a qualifying package. Bowman, I think, has the most over to the left. See how far that left rear tire's out? Some of the crew chiefs said, we're not going to do that. Talked to Rodney Childers. He said, we think we're ready to race. We think we've got a good car for race trim. I don't see, Larry McReynolds, as much dog tracking in this 4 car as I saw in the others. Are they going to be able to race that way come Thursday?
Michael, I think that's what's going to make the dual races so interesting on Thursday as we run for 150 miles. But, yeah, let's take a look at our Ford cutaway car here, and I'm going to show you basically what they're doing. Remember, I talked about that rear spoiler at the rear of the car back there. So what they're basically doing is skewing the car to get this right rear corner out of the air. That helps the straightaway drag. What are they doing and how they're doing it? It has to do with the track bar right here, because what happens, the track bar is to the body and to the frame over here. So if you've got that track bar level and you travel this down, what it does, it pulls this over to the left and gets that body out in the right. I think you can get some of that out, even though it's an impound race, because a lot of it has to do with the driver adjustable track bar. He's doing some of it in the car, not all of it. But again, it's going to make the duels very interesting on Thursday.
And we'll look for that on FS1. Round 2, all 4 Hendrick Chevrolet Camaros made the final round. Same with Joe Gibbs Toyotas. And we'll have that coming up.
Getting ready, he'll be the second driver on the clock. So the first round times are erased for these 12 drivers. Again, they go out slowest to fastest from round 1. Chase Elliott trying to win another Daytona 500 pole.
Rick Hendrick and Joe Gibbs are smiling now, but they're very competitive.
Oh, yeah.
If one of their cars is out on the pole, they're not going to be smiling.
They're very hands-on, both of them. They're totally committed and involved with their race teams. But you may say, why would the cars go faster in this round? The one big thing is fluids. Once you get the rear end grease and the transmission and everything about the end, all that stuff warmed up, you're going to pick up a little bit of speed.
Well, I'm curious to see what the wind does, how the wind affects, because all it could take is a gust of wind, a gust at the tail to give you a little extra speed down the back straightaway, or a gust of wind at the nose of the car to stall you out coming off of turn 4.
See a little speed and steering angle in our telemetry as Elliott comes off turn number 2. He's run 2 Daytona 500s. He has never not won the pole for this race.
What a record. That's a record right there. Oh, man.
Wow, 197 into turn 3.
Just imagine what these cars are going to do in the draft. 200 plus easy.
I think one of the things I saw was when we had the in-car cameras, some drivers are driving their cars smooth into the corner. Others were kind of having to throw their car in the corner, and I think that's making a little wee bit of a difference.
46.413. That is a full tenth of a second faster than his lap in round 1.
And I think that's probably what we'll see across the board. That's just the fluids being warmer, everything kind of warmed up and ready to go.
Yeah. He's not going to, I don't think he's going to experience what it's going to be like to be on the pole, though, this year.
Well, many were surprised at the end of last season when Joe Gibbs Racing said goodbye to former champion Matt Kenseth and filled the seat in the number 20 with Eric Jones, moving him over from satellite team Furniture Row Racing. Jones, though, young driver with a lot of potential, the defending Rookie of the Year.
And got a tailwind down the back. Saw that flag there as it went through the corner. And you look at that old tachometer, and boy, she creeps up there, and you think, I got something going here.
Yeah, when Eric Jones rolled off into turn 1, the flag started to stand up, and that gust started picking up down the back straightaway. See if that affects him, though, as he comes off of turn 4. Certainly he's going to go to the top of the chart here.
Pretty good lap.
The DeWalt Camry, 46.27.
Right
he
there.
picks up 2.5 tenths of a second.
Yes, sir, right there.
Remember, Elliott's Napa Chevrolet picked up 1 tenth from round 2 to round
And Mike,
1 to 2.
Yesterday, I thought this kid's going to win multiple races. I believe in that car, that team, that Eric Jones is going to win multiple races in 2018. And there's another guy. Here's another one of my kind of, I don't know if you can't call him an underdog, but he's kind of one of my pre-race favorites, is Paul Menard in this 21 car. I believe that car's got a couple of wins in it.
Trying to win the Wood Brothers 100th race. They've been in NASCAR since the sport began. Menard with crew chief Greg Irwin has 1 top 10 start in the 500.
And Menard's been a lot of places, but I believe this is a place that really fits Paul Menard's personality. I think the team and everything just fits his style. I think he's going to really impress you this year with the job he does in that 21 car.
Yeah, his family has a history of being involved in motorsports. Tie that to a family, the Wood Brothers, that's been a part of NASCAR for so many years in their history. Great match.
So the Omnicare Ford, 46.58 for Menard. He loses a tenth of a second compared to round 1.
Yeah, I'm looking at Eric Jones right now, almost 2.5 tenths of a gain. That's a good pickup. That's a great job to that team, managing those temperatures, managing the oils. You see Joey Logano again, that hand up towards the window.
Just don't like quick movements. I think when you see a quick movement, it's buffing speed out of the car. You got to be gentle and smooth getting into the corner and through the corner.
Logano has started the 500 in the top 5 twice for crew chief Todd Gordon.
You see, he definitely lost some speed, sort of scrubbed speed off as he put wheel into it coming off the exit of turn 2. And it just continues to fall all the way down the back straightaway, even though there is a bit of a tailwind. That flag's swirling all over the place here in the infield as we look out there. It's hard to really guess what direction the wind's blowing.
The 2015 Daytona 500 winner puts his hand up to try to block the air coming in and be a little more arrow coming down that straightaway. He is 3rd of 4, 46.43, falls off 1/100th of a second from round 1.
I don't think that team, I don't think he will be disappointed with this qualifying effort today. That's going to turn out to be not too bad for them.
The only thing, DW, is as we documented the skew in these cars, getting to the left with that rear spoiler, that is going to have to play out in the way these cars drive next week. So you want to be on the front row. You want to be locked in to the field to not have to worry about what goes on in that Thursday dual race.
Jimmy Johnson on it. 2-time pole sitter, 2-time 500 winner. In fact, he's the only driver in the field to have won the 500 more than once. Boy, that hasn't happened since Bill Elliott, 1993.
You can see, Mike, as he comes off turn 4, you start to see that tracker back up a little bit, but he's still got a little in the bank here and gaining some back. Once he comes in front of the grandstand, that helps.
Picks up on the run from turn 4 to the flag, 46.21. He is 2 tenths faster than round 1.
That's right there with what Bowman and those guys ran. They ran 18, so that's a good lap, really good lap.
I think you're going to have to pick up at least 2 tenths. Of course, if Bowman picks up 2 tenths, it's going to...
Well, that's 194 mile an hour, and if Bowman picks up a couple of tenths, he'll be 195 miles an hour. That's pretty fast by yourself.
Kevin Harvick will be the 6th driver to make an attempt in round 2. He's looking for his 2nd front row start in the 500 for Stewart Haas Racing.
Did I say pretty fast? That's not pretty fast.
I was going to say,
that's hauling butt.
I'm blown away at these speeds and how much they picked up with an extra half-inch of spoiler. It just goes to show you the engineering, ingenuity, horsepower, all the things that these teams do. When you give these race teams a couple months to think about it, pretty amazing how creative they can become to find speed.
Right now, it's a Chevy Toyota front row. Johnson and Jones. Harvick trying to muscle his Ford up there.
I think regardless of whether this team and Kevin Harvick are on the front row for the Daytona 500, they're going to be a team to beat for the 500 in the race.
Yeah, I agree.
Third for the Jimmy John's Ford of Harvick, 46.28. He was 14/100ths faster than round one, but not enough for the front row, and it's only the front row that gets locked in today.
And as you saw with Daniel Suarez in that high lane in 3 and 4, it's a lot rougher up there, and you'll see a lot more bouncing happening with his helmet. So tells you a little bit about the different lanes that these drivers are going to be running and how it affects the car.
Just don't like the way that car, looking at his hands, just don't like the way he has to snatch that thing to the left to get it down in the corner.
Well, and again, I think if you follow that yellow line all the way to the corner, you're going to have to at some point make a pretty abrupt move. I always like to give a little bit more room as you got in the corner and anticipate so you didn't have to do that quick feed.
Yeah, because that's bumping a little bit of speed out of that car when you throw it like that.
When I had pole-winning cars down here, it didn't matter what I did inside there.
It'll be the second Daytona 500 for Daniel Suarez, and he is third, 46.28. That's more than a tenth better than he ran in round one.
He beat Harvick by 1/1000th.
I like the dash in that car. The dashes have really come a long way.
Fans Kroger Click List and Tide are giving away $1 million to a lucky fan if A.J. Allmendinger or teammate Chris Buescher should win the 500. Enter to win by posting with hashtag #WinWithClickList and hashtag TideOxyPower on social media. For complete rules and prizes, you can visit jtgdohertyracing.com. Kyle Busch will be the 8th of 12 drivers to take to the clock in round two.
He's also using that same method that we saw with Joey Logano. I think I may have seen a couple others that were in this top 12 do the same thing. Look, he's just trying to block that air, that opening, to keep as little air from getting inside the car, creating pressure to slow down the car and creating drag.
He's doing it all the way around the track. He's not just doing it on the straightaway. He was holding it in the turn.
And he knocks his young teammate off the front row. Second for Kyle Busch, 46.22, 14/100ths faster than round one.
There's no one that's ever sat in a race car, I don't care who he is, that's got more car control and more feel for a race car than Kyle Busch does. I mean, he is an incredible, I just think he's an incredible wheelman. And
he also will do anything it takes to win.
That's right.
We could call him Red Byron, but that was the name of NASCAR's first champion in 1949.
We're going to search and find something for William.
I think we just ought to stick with William for now.
Literary in our production crew would like to call him Lord Byron, but that's a horse of a different color. Let's just call him William.
I think we'll just stick with William.
Xfinity Series champion. Won so many races in the Truck Series the year before, they had to change the rules on how you make the playoffs because he missed it. And before that, he was a terror in Legends cars, beginning at age of 15, 2012.
I think what makes him so great, he is detail-oriented. As Larry McReynolds like to say, he dots every I and crosses every T, and he doesn't leave any stone unturned.
Third at 46.26, a pickup of 6/100ths from round one, but not quite enough for the front row.
When you call him a student of the sport,
he is.
in so many more ways than one, because he truly is a student.
I wonder if he gets college credit for that. He's a sophomore at Liberty University, Virginia.
If he keeps doing what he's been doing the last few years, he's going to start teaching classes.
He spent time with his spotter because he wanted them to be on the same page. He studies the dashboard in the car. So many little details that he's aware of.
3 drivers to go. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has spent his entire Cup career, 6 years, with Roush Fenway Racing. First in the 6, and for the last 5 seasons in the number 17. He was third fastest in round one.
Doesn't seem to be showing the pickup that we've seen from some of the other teams in this second round.
No, not at all.
Made the playoffs last year, finished a career best 13th in the final standings. Nope, 7th for Ricky Stenhouse. He falls 7/100ths of a second off of his round one time.
Yeah, they got everything out of it in round one.
Yeah, well,
didn't leave anything out. They're on the table for round two.
And then there were 2, the 2 fastest drivers in the first round, Denny Hamlin and Alex Bowman. Hamlin, the veteran, the 2016 Daytona 500 winner. and 4-time top 5 finisher. He's never sat on the front row for the 500. His best start is 4th.
And when that camera moves, it makes me go, oh!
Well, I can tell you, the competition does not want to see Denny Hamlin on the front row because he is absolutely one of the best, probably one of the favorites. It's building. He's going into the green. I think there's no doubt he's going to be on that front row. It's just whether or not he's going to be on the pole. But that's not good for the competition. They're not going to like that.
Hamlin has never won a pole at Daytona or Talladega, NASCAR's 2 restrictor plate tracks.
Well, he's going to have a shot at one here today because it's going to be a whale of a lap. A lot.
46.13.
Front row guaranteed.
Got that right. 7 100ths better than round 1 and 8 100ths faster than Jimmy Johnson.
Last thing you need to do is build his confidence up anymore at Daytona.
No kidding.
I think he comes in here with a pretty good attitude this year. He knows he's got a good team. He knows he got a good car, and they want to have some fun. And how do you have fun, Jeff?
Well,
Chad Knaus
win. How about this Cinderella story that's about to come here? This is going to be really interesting to watch. Already in the green. Wow, that thing is fast.
Alex Bowman came here to run the 500 for BK Racing in 2014. Finished in the top 25. And look at that advantage build over Denny Hamlin.
That car, you know all you can say about that car? That thing is fast.
The FedEx Camry of Hamlin sitting, rolling, waiting.
Wow, is he picking up?
This may go into the 45s.
I'm just thinking, what a difference a year makes for Alex Bowman. I mean, he wasn't even in the Daytona 500 last year.
45-second lap. Right at it, 46.002.
Wow. Alex Bowman has just won the pole for the Daytona 500.
Nice job.
Greg Ives, the crew chief, in only his second start.
Hell yeah.
Come on.
Bowman, 41st different driver to win the pole. The 88 car has started on the front row for the last 5 restrictor plate races and won the pole now for the last 3.
Pretty sure he's going to get a big congratulations from his buddy Dale Jr. watching at home.
Yeah, and you know who else? Rick's down there too. Wait till Rick gets hold of him.
All right. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and now Alex Bowman have all won the pole for the Daytona 500, driving a car numbered 88. Jamie Little with our pole sitter.
First official race as the driver of the 88. Alex Bowman, you got out. You were shaking a little bit. What was that like for you today?
Just a little nerve-wracking. You know, our nationwide Camaro ZL1 has been great since we unloaded. All the guys back at the chassis shop, body shop, the Hendrick engine shop is top-notch. They all work so hard. And we knew we were going for the pole. That's what we were here to do. And I thought we were at a little disadvantage letting the car cool down as long as we did since we went pretty early in that first round. I was a little nervous for that second round, but glad took off well off pit road and did everything I could do. But this really comes down to the crew, all the guys back at the shop, whether it's the aero group, the engine shop, the chassis shop. Everybody works so hard at these speedway cars, especially for the 500. Just means the world to have nationwide support and to be able to put it on the pole.
Alex, this moment is a long time coming. You and your family have been through a lot. You've raced for the teams down here, and now you have this opportunity. Looking at this big picture, all the media around your family, all the congratulations, what is it like to finally be here?
I think it's still a little surreal. You know, it's a dream come true to get to drive for Hendrick Motorsports. Never would have thought it would have happened after the path my career took. So just so thankful to be able to do this. I'm very blessed to be able to call driving a race car my job, and now to get to drive what I think is the best race car in the business. It's a dream come true.
Alex Bowman is the pole sitter for the 60th running of the Daytona 500. Matt?
Jamie, veteran Denny Hamlin, chasing his second Daytona 500 win. First time ever, though, on the front row. Has the shock worn off?
No, I literally am so ecstatic. It was so out of the blue because honestly I thought that today was going to be a tough day qualifying because we focused so much on race trim yesterday. We stuck in a pack. I think we did one real mock run, which wasn't really even a mock run, and we were so far off that we just switched and made sure our car was going to handle really good on Thursday and obviously next Sunday. So this car is ready to race. It's handling well. We're looking forward to Thursday, and now obviously the 500 being on the front row. So proud of FedEx and TRD, all the hard work that the Fab Shop at JGR, what they've done. This is really about them and their preparation for the Daytona 500. So couldn't be prouder to represent them, and hopefully we'll get us another Daytona 500 come next Sunday.
The fun meter definitely pegged here in the 11 camp. Chris?
All right, thank you, Matt. The crew chiefs going over the finer details. Denny Hamlin won the closest ever 500 a couple years ago. Now his best Daytona 500 start as he starts second behind Alex Bowman, who's on the pole. And we'll have more from Florida in a moment. Didn't show the showman Alec Bowman whether he likes that title or not. There's Rick Hendricks saying, hey, the 88 is again. So that's the fourth straight Daytona 500 pole for Hendrick Motorsports. And let's check in now with Matt Yoakum.
And when you look at all the racing resume that's come out of Hendrick Motorsports, the wins, the championships, and especially the poles here in Daytona. And Rick, you have such a keen eye for talent, and you've picked another stellar one. What impresses you most about Alex Bowman?
Well, you know, I'd love to take the credit for Alex, but I'm going to have to say Dale Earnhardt Jr. said when he got hurt, he said, I would love to have Alex in the car. And I hadn't watched Alex. And when he got in the car, he just did an awesome job. And Nationwide loves him, and so does Exalta. And he is just so much fun and got so much talent. It's just an exciting year for us. And, you know, I couldn't be happier to see that 88 on the pole and be here with the new Camaro ZL1s and all our cars in the top 10. So it was a good day.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chris?
All right, always good to hear from Rick Hendricks. So it's Alex Bowman in a Chevy Camaro, and then the Toyota Camry with Denny Hamlin. So what is this as we look at the pole day qualifying today? Mike will tell you about next Sunday, the Daytona 500.
Just the speed that the Chevrolet Camaro has. That's a new car. There are a lot of unanswered questions. We came to Daytona. Obviously, they have the speed it's going to take to win the 500.
And again, Thursday on FS1, we'll have the dual races, 40 cars slotting, splitting positions.
Well, and the most important thing about this duels this year, it's the first time these guys will be behind the wheel of these cars since qualifying next Thursday. Talking about unanswered questions, there's going to be a lot of concern about how certain cars are drafting. We saw the skew that some of them have in them. Others elected to have a more race setup in their car. I can't wait till Thursday. Maybe, for me, the most anticipated duels ever.
Yeah, that practice time that you don't have right in between is key. So over 195 miles per hour, the top speed. Last guy to go over 200 qualifying here, our own Jeff Gordon. Let's head back upstairs with Daryl, Jeff, and Mike and get their final thoughts.
Well, what a front row. You have the humble, appreciative, all but unknown Alex Bowman, and the flamboyant, where's the party, basketball playing, golfing for money, showman. He's the showman, Denny Hamlin, the superstar. What a contrast in that front row, Chevy versus Toyota, and two different drivers, very different drivers.
Yeah, well, Alex was a part of the show. Today, Bowman the showman, he was the show.
Absolutely.
I just can't imagine being in his shoes right now, and you know what he's going through. I mean, what a flip from what he's experienced a year ago or the last couple of years. And I don't think anybody's more appreciative of this opportunity right now and enjoying this moment more than being on the pole for the Daytona 500 than Alex Bowman.
Now looking ahead to Thursday, the fastest 6 cars were either Hendrick Chevys or Gibbs Toyotas. The 3 Chevys will be in one race, the 3 Toyotas will be in the other. What a balance there.
Well, total domination, by the way, by Joe Gibbs Racing with Toyota, as well as Hendrick Motorsports and those Chevys. You know, this day today and what happens through Daytona is not just important to the team owners and the sponsors and the drivers. It's important to the manufacturers. And I think today was a huge statement by Chevrolet and that Camaro ZL1 being on the pole, but also by Toyota being on the front row and Denny Hamlin. So it's going to be a heck of a battle. The Fords are right in there too. I cannot wait to see these duels.
I agree, Jeff. Chris, the biggest surprise to me is the fastest Ford, Kevin Harvick, was only 8th.
Thanks, Mike. So Toyota still hasn't had a pole sitter for the Daytona 500 in now 12 years. So this is the way the Can-Am Duel starting grid looks for Thursday on FS1.
And, you know, Jeff talked about he couldn't imagine what Alex Bowman was thinking. Chris, the last time Bowman tried to qualify for the 500, he missed the race. He comes here this time, he's on the pole. That tells you how tough racing can be, how special that must feel for that kid.
Jeffrey Earnhardt, David Reagan rounding out the first of the 2 Can-Am Duel races, and then there's Eric Jones, Joe Gibbs Racing with some Dominic Kyle Busch, and then there's Kevin Harvick mentioned as the top Ford today.
We see those Toyotas team up and draft together. They're not going to have to look far for each other come Thursday afternoon, starting 1, 2, 3.
And rounding out the 40-car field, the most we've ever had for a Daytona 500, 68 cars. The fewest we've had running 40, and that's the number that we're looking at next Sunday on Fox, when you'll see the 60th running of the Daytona 500. The Masters Agility Championship from Westminster coming up next here on Fox. Don't forget on FS1, if you want to flip over, we have the Clash coming up here live from Daytona. So the first time 17 drivers actually racing here in 2018. From Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers, for our producer Barry Landis, director Artie Kempner. Thanks for being a part of NASCAR on Fox.